Last time on the Polar Sea, Richard Tegner is sailing on the academic Yaffe. They are deep in the Northwest Passage, braving narrow channels where ice can block ships big and small.
Okay, Nick, it's holding, it's holding.
The lone sign of southern civilization out here is the Canadian icebreaker that gets them through. But in nearby Joa Haven, founded by the explorer Amundsen, civilization has come at a...
It was traveling, definitely. And a bit party also. And, well, I hadn't had much of party, so I really enjoyed that.
Well, how's the weather outside?
Pretty rough, you know.
Oh, no.
I appreciate the contrast. That's the key phrase.
Scary, but yeah.
What's the most appropriate drink for a polar bear?
How about an old fashioned?
I don't want any more booze. I will feel awful tomorrow. Soda water on the road, with a twist of lime and a dash of gin. It was a Russian cruise ship with mostly Canadian passengers and mostly Canadian staff.
Richard Tegner has become unofficial chronicler of the voyage of the Yaffe.
That was nice, actually. I thought maybe it will bother me to have to use the camera now and then, but I actually enjoyed it. Nice views are okay, but as soon as you have a face in front of you, it's something totally different. It's a bit of a personal story in all faces. I really like that a lot.
We'll walk around the top of the engines and see what everything looks like. Feel free to take pictures, and then we'll eventually make our way to the motor control room, or MCR. And one hand for the ship because it is slippery on deck.
The most important thing is all these people and their level of curiosity. They were all there because they were interested in traveling through the Arctic and learn more about it. Some were interested in birds, and some were interested in wildlife, and some were interested in Inuit culture, so different approaches. Let's go. And are you turned on? Yeah, it's turned on.
Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry.
and you don't have to speak to the camera. We can just make it like a, so it makes it more natural if we speak to each other and don't bother about the camera.
No, that's fine. So,
okay, so my first impression of the passenger group of this boat was, what a boring group of elderly people.
It takes one to know one.
Yes.
You're a tourist now, not a working seaman.
I certainly am.
Richard started his journey on the small boat Dax.
Compared with my first part of the trip, it was luxurious, for sure. I had a nice warm cabin, and I could take a nice warm shower. You have each meal served. There was a sauna on board. That was very nice to have a sauna. That was really nice. It's like everything else during this trip. It's contrasts. The contrast between the Western culture and the old Inuit culture, of course, and the contrasts in travel, the contrasts in temperature and in the nature. it's kind of ironic that we blame the global warming to make a lot of damage around the world, but there is also positive things. We can come here and meet these people of this barren land and make our experience from their living.
Yes, change is difficult. Whatever change, that causes lots of difficulty for everyone. I mean, we all are very concerned about the changes that our life brings to the world we live in.
The Yaffe is steaming west in Victoria Strait, bound for Cambridge Bay. This is the most southerly leg of the passage, its exact middle and the last part that was discovered. In the 19th century, explorers aimed to cross paths here. Those coming north overland hoped to meet those sailing east or west to connect the dots and complete the map of the passage. Now, a new generation of explorers cross here as they challenge the passage from both directions. Some seek only freedom, like Jürgen and Claudia Kirchberger, young Austrians sailing west in their steel ketch, Belle Epoque. Some are seeking records for the fun of it. Olivier Giasson and Sébastien Lapierre are firefighters from Quebec, rowing eastward to be the first kayak through the passage in one summer.
On a pagaillé comme des malades là, pour atteindre notre premier campement, ce qui est fait. Bonne nouvelle. Puis là, ben, on a un petit setup ici avec Caribou.
Westbound in Le Belleul, the Cotier family from Switzerland is hoping to be the first cruising catamaran through the passage. Others want their journey to make a statement. The crew of the Arctic Jules hope to highlight climate change by being the first to row the whole passage. Then there is the crew of the American reality TV show Dangerous Waters.
Got some gas for us? Yep. Starving of gas. We need some fuel.
These guys just want to be the first to jet ski through the Northwest Passage.
I was able to get the latest ice information. I also got the phone numbers of this ship. So they say call anytime, wherever we're at, any questions about ice or wind, anything. They've heard about us.
That's
Isn't that
good
cool?
to know. Everybody's heard of us.
Yep.
We're the Dangerous Waters crew.
We will enter Cambridge Bay, I suppose, 25th, and that's the end of our journey.
In the harbor is a reminder of the twisting fates of Arctic explorers. Here lies the wreck of Maud, the last Arctic ship owned by Roald Amundsen. Amundsen was the first to sail the Northwest Passage in 1903 In 1916, he returned in Maud, hoping to sail past the North Pole to Russia. He was trapped by pack ice. The 3-year-long expedition failed and bankrupted Amundsen. He sold Maud. She was eventually sunk by ice in Cambridge Bay. She is one of the many ghosts here, shadows of strangers who lost or won because of the shifting climate. The first strangers to come here were the Inuit themselves. They arrived 1,000 years ago to find another people already here. Those first people were called the Tunit. They are known to us only by fragments of tools left behind and by stories the Inuit tell.
So what we have here is a model of a Tunit longhouse. And this is actually a reproduction of what was found at Iqaluqtuq, which is fairly close to Cambridge Bay. Each family had their own tent, and they joined them together.
So this is several generations living together like this in a
Exactly.
row with different entrances, but each family has a tent, okay?
Exactly. And so their lifestyles were fairly similar to the Inuit. They hunted the same animals and made the same use of the items on the land. And even modern Inuit have stories of the little people. They call them the little people. The
Okay, they
Tunit.
were short?
They were shorter, and many elders living in Cambridge Bay now still see the Tunit on the land. This past summer, Mary Cunniac, an elder from Cambridge Bay, was on the land, and she said that she saw them.
The Tunit relied on the cold. They hunted seal and walrus on the sea ice. But around 1000 AD, there began a 300-year-long warm period. That climate change melted ice in the Northwest Passage. Sailing on its newly opened waters came strangers from Alaska. They were the modern Inuit. They had new technology like kayaks and bows and arrows to hunt caribou. At the time, the Tunit lived across the whole of the eastern Arctic, but they disappear from the archaeological records soon after Inuit arrived. For the next 1,000 years, the modern Inuit thrived. The Cambridge Bay Museum has a group of elders who provide cultural knowledge. They grew up with a lifestyle virtually unchanged from that of their ancestors.
Ubangari, tuhawar ako anan tiamnin. Agligidlo ako, agligihimaya. Ida Inuit piyang nag-iwaktaka. Noon na may talikong at talig. Nagamilang na Inuit ang unya ako ting nagibaktot. Hutong ilak kalam, kablunawak tungit kalam. Akpig. Akpig utahap ko, hunahad, hunaming, nyakik kami, angutik kami, kanyaktod. Nyakigibaktayin mo tahap ko. Hulilukak, nyakikakayoktot. Naugangan ngok tahap ko. Kinyarukak, akaon mo ikutigibaktayin. Imikpagkutik, tiitokimait, timipiyukkalaamik, imikpagkutik ihane. Pihokak, kutigibakimayan ngok tahap ko.
We have a record of that life because Inuit crossed paths with visionary filmmaker Robert Flaherty. In 1920, Flaherty made Nanook of the North, which was the world's first documentary. Previously, people had only seen paintings of Inuit or artifacts. Nanook was an intimate look at living Inuit who seemed happy despite a hard life and a brutal climate. Like every documentary since, Nanook was a blend of candid and directed footage that only told part of the story. But it was a huge success and created an image of Inuit that still haunts communities today.
There's a couple parts of the film that I really despise. There are a couple moments in the film where I just go, you know, why did that have to happen?
Tanya Tagak grew up in Cambridge Bay.
Brilliant.
She left to become one of Canada's hottest musicians.
You go the other way. You're gonna make your eyes all.
Her music crosses Inuit throat singing with jazz and hip-hop. She has created a new musical interpretation of Nanook and come home to film it, bringing her bandmates north for the first time.
There's one where he's pretending to like kind of eat at the record. It's like, oh, what's this? It's just a silly person that thinks you should eat it. Like it's little things like that.
In fact, the Inuit that Flaherty met understood the benefits of modern technology. While Flaherty filmed a walrus hunt in which they feared being dragged into the water, they begged him to shoot the walrus with his rifle. He pretended not to listen so that he could keep filming. Flaherty later wrote that his falsehoods were intended to portray traditional Inuit culture while it was still possible.
I don't really get so angry with the film because a lot of it is the land. And the land is so beautiful. That's where we are. Like the earth is so beautiful.
What was true was that Nanook of the North captured the ways of the only people who could live comfortably in the Arctic. But that exclusive advantage ended with the Cold War, when America and Russia crossed paths here and the region suddenly moved from the edge of history to its center.
Here is the motion picture spectacle of all time. The Arctic. Desolate, savage, remote. No place for human beings. What was once the impassable Arctic now provides the quickest routes for attack from a wide sector of Europe and Asia. Beset by the nightmare of this threat, the nation's leaders decided on a tremendous undertaking. This was to build, with the cooperation of Canada, a radar early warning line north of the Arctic Circle. It would stretch 3,000 miles across the continent to Baffin Island, opposite Greenland. Men had to conquer that unknown frozen wasteland and transform it into a vital outpost of Western civilization.
But at some sites, the wind kept piling up the snow so fast that a small tractor was helpless. Then the only way to get a bigger tractor in was to drop it by parachute. The first time they tried, it didn't work. One way they learned on the dew line was from mistakes. They had lost one tractor this way, but they wouldn't lose any more. They knew now how to do it right. Finally, they had ice strips wide enough and long enough for the biggest cargo planes. The Eskimos, too, were recruited, and they did a good job.
They were recruited but not required. The U.S. military did not need their help to survive. Its Arctic bases were the first developments big enough to make the climate irrelevant.
Summer in the Arctic brings a bloom of wildflowers, and temperature sometimes as high as 60 degrees. Then it was good weather for erecting the search radar antennas.
And once more, the Arctic winter closed in. But nature in the Arctic no longer seemed so savage, for life on the dew line had become pretty civilized. But perhaps the true historical role of the dew line
will prove to be the opening up for peaceful and productive purposes of a vast new frontier above the Arctic Circle, the untapped resources of which we have as yet barely glimpsed.
But looking at that dew line site, like as a child, I was kind of taught that it was like, look at this awesome thing, it's gonna protect us. It's gonna protect us and everything's gonna be great because we've got this amazing protection. I didn't understand it until I went to Europe. I started having a deeper, way deeper respect for like white people because it's like, oh, there's the root of their culture. That's where they came from. And, you know, let's be frank, you spent the last couple thousand years scrapping over every little bit of land there was over there. Like, you know, you guys were warring people. So when you came over, you were still warring people and you didn't know what to do but be warring people.
Cambridge Bay was a dew line supply hub, the remote crossroads filled up with strangers and all their social problems. And Tanya's generation of Inuit became the first to grow up in the global village.
In the era of intercontinental airplanes, the polar ice cap, once a barrier, has become an open highway. Thanks to Operation Dewline, remote regions of the Arctic have seen more visitors in a single summer than all their previous history.
I know there was a bar there, and I know bad things happened at it. As a child, that was just part of life. We had a lot of fun in that house.
What happened there?
My friend Michelle Adamak, her parents would go on long camping trips, and we'd just, there'd be a group of like 12 little kids hanging out in there for a couple days, and we had a lot of fun. Like, we'd slide down the stairs in garbage bags and like play stupid games.
Did you get in trouble?
No. One time we stayed awake for 3 days out of mere boredom, though.
Look at all the
true,
dogs.
Hi, puppies.
Crazy.
They're just excited to see us, that's all.
got-
Oh, that guy hates me. I hate that guy there.
Why?
He's the worst. He's the worst guy in town.
Driving that truck?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
He's constantly trying to sleep with young girls and cheating on his wife and then getting,
Oh, boy.
spreading rumors and telling everyone I'm sleeping with people. But that's small town dynamics for you, right? I realized that there was a time in the past where life was so hard up here in the winter that you couldn't waste your time on your emotions and those kinds of feelings surrounding sexual abuse or physical abuse or anything, because it was so hard to live and people were dying all around you just because of the environment, that people wouldn't care about something so small as like being raped, you know, because it was so hard. But let's be frank, it's not that anymore. People are allowed to care and people are allowed to feel. I'm not afraid to say, because the more people talk about it, the easier it's. Like, I was sexually abused from 5 years old on. You know, I grew up seeing a lot of shit, and I think a lot of people here were. And, you know, when I was a teenager and I was very confused, you know, I attempted suicide myself. And those are things you battle for a long time, probably your whole life. Sometimes it comes back, that feeling comes back, and I'll never do it, but that's a terrible feeling to have to feel. And knowing, that's why I'm so angry. There's a whole groups of people like that feel this hurt. Yeah, so sometimes I do subbing in the schools, and then sometimes I'll kind of do things like suicide prevention or embrace life kind of thing, and I'll go from classroom to classroom and talk to the kids. I meet a lot of people all over the world who are in the same state, and the one main thing I notice about everybody who's hurting, everybody feels like there's something wrong with them. Everybody feels like if they were a better person, they wouldn't have these terrible feelings. Oh.
Slush puppy. He's drinking the slush puppy.
Hi.
That's
Are you Lawrence's son? Hi. Nice to
wants
meet you. I went to school with him, and you look exactly like your dad. I'm Tanya. What happened to your arm?
Dislocated.
Oh. Well, I hope you locate it again.
I got into a fight with a couple guys.
Oh, no. Why?
Huh?
Why? What were they doing?
Just got into a fight.
Oh, well, quit scrapping. See you, nice to meet you. I grew up in that house until I was 12 years old.
Right there.
Yeah, that house.
Are you serial?
Yeah, I remember watching Three's Company when I was really small, like these kids. Who are your parents? You look familiar. I must have went to school with one of your parents. I want to see somebody do something awesome on here. Oh my goodness. Nice, nice.
That's pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
Man, you got it
that's good.
together.
And they just put this up too, man. You got good quickly. It's
It
a
must
lot
be
of
tiring.
exercise. Woo! Oh my God. Oh, that's scary. Oh,
How come you never wipe out?
Oh God, it's no good to have a mother watching this.
20th century civilization, with its complexity, its strife, and its promise for the future, has come to the frozen north. What changes this will bring to the ancient pattern of life in these regions, no man can say. One thing, however, seems clear. Here is tangible, visible evidence of a shrinking globe.
While the Dew Line was being built, nuclear missiles replaced bombers. The line was obsolete when it opened in 1957, but it has operated ever since and now has a new purpose. As the Northwest Passage melts, many countries are looking to exploit its shipping and mineral potential. Canada and the US are as motivated as ever to maintain military surveillance here, even though they now use private contractors to do it.
The actual importance, I guess, with the opening of the Northwest Passages that are predicted to happen for year-round shipping, with all the contestants of the North between the Soviets, the Americans, the Canadians, the Norwegians, it probably will remain a prominent part of the North American, prominent part of Canadians, Canada's signature for the North for a while.
In the Arctic, nothing goes away quickly. Out past the Dew Line station, elders still meet tunic ghosts.
I'd like to know the Takawakawit, Kaumakanwami. Tunita Puerto Himana Pituhava Himakakimi. Tuhak Parapitapka Inuit, Takawakawitlo. Apaga imadi waktaka. Huyun, ekinaktun. Iman nako, pitimatungok. Inuakatinuinapko, pitimat. Kanokarimatungok, kanokariungituakopkit.
Ja, tuharaqaapkit hakuiktut tuharaqpagatka ayuittullu hunamik hanaqigaangamik taapkuatta uyaqqat igluittakuvakkimaitka taapkuavakkimayit uyaqqani iglulivakkimayuunnaqtu angiunuyaqqat havakkimayut uyaqqanuqumaittun havakkimagmata inuit taapkuamikiut hakuiktut iumagivagatka.
In case you can't tell, I'm mad. Just like the whole happy Eskimo thing, you know? look, we're happy Eskimos. And a lot of the performers and a lot of people, to tourists, they really want to go, look, we're happy Eskimos. Yeah, I'm happy and I'm an Eskimo, but I mean, people, it has to stop. If those colonialists would have at least gleaned a little bit of information from us and lived a little more harmoniously with the earth, then none of this would have been happening. I've gotten that standpoint, but frankly, we enjoy the niceties of the modern existence as well. You can take care of people socially, and you can have progress without destroying everything completely.
Who are you?
I'm Roy Goose. I'm Roy Goose. I'm Roy Goose. I'm Roy Goose.
Raigu.
Roy Goose.
Raigu. Okay.
Josh.
I prefer to think that this development will be for the better. They are building an Arctic university and they're building a huge research center there, new facilities for sewage and water, and they are building new housing. So we shouldn't think that we destroy everything we do. We also do good things. We build up possibilities.
For Jesse to get in position. Jesse, could you come me back now? Take us up, everybody. The background going here. Tap the mic. Take one.
when I'm singing, I feel like I could not be a human. The beauty of this life is completely overwhelming. The joy of life can come to you in a way that is so grand. The way I love not just being human, but being alive, like being a living form.
The Northwest Passage cruise season is ending. The academic Yaffe will sail back to the east.
This evening, I'm expecting a catamaran from Switzerland coming here to Cambridge Bay. Hopefully, they can take me along. I might join them as a crew member. Might be a lot of ice that will force us to stay, and well, you just have to adapt to the circumstances. If I can't get away from Cambridge Bay with a boat, I have to try to do it in some other way.
August is almost over. Soon freeze-up will begin. Yachts challenging the passage must race to the finish. For eastbound boats, it will not be easy. Ice flowing down from the north is clogging the narrow channels between the eastern islands.
Petit réveil brutal ce matin alors que on a un joli petit tapis de neige. Ça aussi, c'est un autre signe que l'hiver approche.
You know, under normal circumstances, I would think this was like beautiful and awesome.
What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go more offshore to get out of this. We can't suck, it's like sucking rocks in your impeller.
For boats sailing west along the mainland coast, there is still blue water. And Richard Tegner still has a chance to hitch a ride to Alaska.
It's cold now. It's really cold, and sitting at the tiller on a sailing boat in this temperature and with an unknown place to harbor, little scary, but nevertheless, that's what adventures are for. You don't know what's ahead of you. Just have to jump and do the best of it.